Still continue.
My dear colleagues of the you have wonderful yes, today, and have joined us a very great day. As you see, and full, we have a very energetic person with us who side all sorts of competition. Some yes, back then, that especially for was a big one. We want to start with you want and what I welcome and now, Retd.
नमस्कार, स्वागतम, अभिनंदन, आदाबाद, सत श्री अकाल, अंबागाड़ी, राधे राधे, राम राम, गुजामदी, वेरी गुड आफ्टरनून। मैं भारद्वाज आप सभी का 80वें PRL अमृत व्याख्यान में स्वागत करता हूं। अभिनंदन। I, Anil Bharadwaj, very warmly welcome all of you for the 80th PRL का अमृत व्याख्यान। This is also the 5th व्याख्यान of the monthly series of व्याख्यान, which is called as PRL Amrut Vyakhyaan 2.0. After completing the 75 episodes of Vyakhyaan series, organized every Wednesday at 4 p.m. starting from 4th of August 2021. This is all being done as a part of PRL Platinum Jubilee, that is 75 years establishment of PRL, which has been established by Dr. Sharma in the year 1947, that is the year of independence. So as we celebrate Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, we celebrate in PRL, Platinum Jubilee through PRL. And this Vyakhyaan also gives us glimpses of the legacy which PRL has been carrying forward for the last more than 7 decades in the area of physics and space science. Today, that is 24th of May, Wednesday, 4 p.m., we have yet very, very distinguished Vyakhyaan with us. The first Indian cosmonaut who went into space on 3rd of April 1981. Please put your hands together for Wing Commander. Who also gave us the slogan from space in response to PM Srimati Indira Gandhi's query, कि ऊपर से हिंदुस्तान कैसा दिखता है? And the famous slogan is, which you know very well, सारे जहां से हिंदुस्तान. He has been the fighter pilot of Indian Air Force as well as test pilot for HAL. So we are really indeed grateful to Wing Commander Rakesh for accepting our invitation and to be with us today to deliver the 88th year of the. And I will not take much time, but to call upon my colleague, Dr. Pallam, though the commander doesn't need any formal introduction, but there is audience live on the PRS YouTube channel also watching in addition to this other gathering over here, who would like to listen to his accomplishment, not only accomplishment, but also for totality, because this is really important. So with these few words, let me welcome once again to all of you and hand over the mic to my colleague Kalambadu to formally introduce the Commander Rakesh.
Thank you, Bhagat. It's a great pleasure and an honor for me to invite today to introduce and invite today's speaker, Wing Commander Rakesh Sharma, who has been recipient of the highest country award in India. He had graduated from National Defense Academy in 1968, and after completion of flight training, he was commissioned into the Indian Air Force as fighter pilot in 1970. He flew 21 operational missions on MiG-21 aircraft during the Indo-Pak War in 1971. He was selected for the production test pilots course in 1975 and later in 1979 for the experimental test pilots course at the Test Pilot School of the Indian Air Force Aircraft and Systems Testing Establishment in Bangalore. Wing Commander Sharma served as an Air Force test pilot for 15 years before being seconded to the industry in 1987. During this period, he was selected for the joint Indo-Soviet space mission in 1984, which culminated in an 8 days near-Earth orbit space flight. He was awarded the Ashoka Chakra by the Indian government, the Hero of the Soviet Union, and the Order of Lenin by the erstwhile Soviet government. He returned to test flying career after the space flights and served as the chief project pilot of India's light combat aircraft Tejas and as chief test pilot of Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. During this period, his skills were extensively utilized by HAL on its indigenous testing aircraft system. And during this period, he flew 4,000 hours on all frontline fighter aircrafts of the Indian Air Force, apart from the ND-33 and NF-16 and the F-18. He retired from test flying in July 2001. He joined the IT industry in 2001 as the Chief Operating Officer of a business process management IT company. Later, he headed the Indian Aerospace and Defense Business Unit of Parametric Technology Corporations, USA, till his retirement from active service in 2009. Post-retirement, he was appointed as the chairman of the board of the Candela Labs, an IT company located in Bangalore. Here he decided to step down in 2018. With these few words, I invite the only one Indian who had been to the space, Wing Commander Rakesh Sharma, Ashok Chakra, to please come onto the dais and deliver the 80th PRL Amrut Vyakhyaan on the future space exploration perspective. Please give a big round of applause.
I hope I'm audible on the last row. Good evening, everybody. Distinguished scientists, ladies and gentlemen. I'm delighted to be here amongst you all this evening. Vyakhyaan, which has been rightly described as the cradle of space science, founded by vision, because of the vision of this great visionary, Dr. Vikram Sarabhai. Privileged this morning of having this statue. Thank you for the honor that you have extended to me. And I would say that as Indians, we all really ought to be immensely proud of what ISRO has achieved. I think it's a tremendous story of how complex activity like space exploration has been conducted by it. And this story has been made possible by the dedicated efforts of our scientists. A lot of you are here who have contributed to this. And you all have worked often under tremendous odds, such as when ISRO had to deliver when technology denial regime was in place due to sanctions which were imposed on us after our peaceful nuclear explosion. I like that expression, peaceful nuclear explosion. See, in today's world, where technology gets outdated pretty fast, even as the product which is utilizing that technology is being ready to hit the market. It is always a challenge, and it is a challenge which is accompanied by risks to make predictions and to share one's opinion of where space exploration is heading. But I intend to do just that. I intend to go out on a limb, and I intend to make this attempt in the following manner. I want to share my idea of what is the state of our planet. I want to just quickly go over the current status of space exploration, and then follow it up with space exploration, its future trajectory. That's where I'm going to be doing some guesswork and some dreaming. And finally, what is or should be India's role going forward? So let us begin by evaluating the future of our planet. I would request you to mull over the images which are just going to follow. I think it gives us a snapshot of the current state of the health of our planet. The prognosis is not good. There is hunger, pollution, unemployment, climate change, and we are moving towards a waterless world. Now, we have a serious energy deficit. And as these images have just shown us, the earth is terminally ill and is suffering from a severe case of non-sustainable development. Because its finite resources are being frittered away at a very alarming rate. So if we stay with energy deficit for a while, I believe that developed societies have seriously overdrawn over the emergency resources which are available and which are so hard to come by. The per capita energy consumption of the citizens of the Western Hemisphere is extremely high, and this is a documented fact. With the economic center of the world moving eastwards, manufacturing also along it, moving in a big way to China and India, it's a matter of time before per capita incomes in our region, and I refer to India and China, begin to rise rapidly. And we already have evidence of that beginning to happen. If we all care to look at our paychecks and compare it to what we were getting, say 10 years ago. So when per capita income begins to rise, disposable incomes also increase in concert. And as disposable incomes go up, markets begin to flood with consumer goods to meet the rising demands of its customers who can now afford to buy them. And all these appliances run on electricity or fossil fuels. 2 billion people, if you combine the populations of India and China, and we are still counting. They are aspiring to an energy-intensive lifestyle, which is presently being enjoyed by the West. So they will aspire, our guys, to the same consumption profile that has got us to where we presently are in terms of energy security. And remember, we are where we are today only due to consumption profile of a fraction of this 2 billion total number I'm talking about, which exists in the Western Hemisphere. So if you take the per capita consumption of energy, which will be required to fuel such an aspirational lifestyle that we are working towards, let's take a conservative number. Let's say 50% of the 2 billion people we are talking about who shortly will be able to afford all this. So we're looking at a number of 1 billion. And if you multiply that by the per capita consumption, which has already been recorded in the Western Hemisphere, we are really heading towards an environmental disaster. So we've seen in developed societies that they have locked themselves into a working model that has begun to believe in acquisitive and in exclusive growth. And the earth, where we are all living, is the only place which is capable of nurturing human life. At least till as far as the eye can see. And not only the human eye, I'm talking about those super eyes in the sky, the Hubble and the James Webb telescopes. Although we just discovered the first exoplanets, which looks exactly which is like, which may support life, but that's yet to happen. So we today live in a world which is getting exceedingly integrated. And a local cause, more often than not, has begun to have a global effect. If you take the example of the financial meltdown in America, which has caused economic slowdown around the globe, it becomes a very telling case in point. And this is only in the financial sector. And if you examine, say, environmental pollution, pollution, as you know, does not respect national boundaries. Say a forest fire in Indonesia will and has in the past degraded the air quality of its neighboring countries. So the conspicuous consumption of non-renewable resources by developed societies has jeopardized the food and energy securities of the developing world. And it is, in so doing, it has jeopardized the environmental security of all inhabitants of the planet Earth. This is a destabilizing situation. And this is contribute towards ideal conditions for seeds of conflict to germinate. If you recall, Mahatma Gandhi, the son of this soil, standing on, had observed that the earth has enough for everybody's need, but not enough for everybody's greed. And if you turn back the pages of history, we see that conflicts on our planet have taken place around the world, in fact, not only in our country, around the world, due to the inequitable distribution of wealth, which was created by those who control the finite resources of planet Earth. They control them on the one hand, and on the other, by its conspicuous consumption and denying the availability of it for other developing nations. This profligate consumption of these resources by the developed societies has resulted in the end of global warming effects, which are illustrations of this argument, this inequity, which is causing the seeds of conflict. So as I pointed out earlier, our energy consumption rate is going to go up exponentially. And really speaking, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that we need to find alternative energy sources, either here on Earth, or we need to trawl for it in outer space. And of course, we needed to start doing this yesterday because it takes a while to get this whole machine going. And to do that, the Earth catalyzed the efforts of some nations to explore, but it has also been the reason for them wanting to inhabit and inevitably exploit what they find in those places. Initially, the moon and later Mars. So this effort has now become crucial, I would say, to the survivability of the human race on our planet, as things are, or what we are used to right now. So the driving force for further exploration is going to be more survival and science, and a bit or less for other activities. So the writing on the wall, I believe, is quite clearly visible now. And during the time it has taken to reach this alarming state, R&D costs have also continued to go up. In any case, space exploration never came cheap when it started. And it's becoming even more prohibitively expensive now. So space programs take shape depending on a particular country's strategic outlook, that country's technological base, and maturity of its manufacturing industry. And finally, of course, it's domestic compulsions. After all, funding is a big constraint, and the taxpayer needs to be convinced about the spending agency's vision and fiscal wisdom. So government funding has started to dry up, especially of those spacefaring nations, because there are more pressing and politically expedient allocations of money that need to be made to ensure re-election. So exploration, as I said, inevitably leads to exploitation of the place that has been explored. This is precisely what has happened on Earth. If you look back at history and the bloody conflicts that have taken place for resources, both natural and man-made. And those conflicts are then the poor who live on the areas of those resources get dispossessed of them by more powerful nations at any given point of time in that history. And no surprises here. This is what will happen on the moon after we inhabit it. National boundaries will be carved out of the place where we have landed on the moon. And then the areas under a particular country's control will be exploited. The resources and the research knowledge is going to be sent back to Earth for the use of only its own countrymen. I think we need to focus first on the immediate impact and the future trajectory of human activity in space, specifically on what the further effects of human activity will be in the short term when near-Earth orbit is fully exploited by the ISS, and in the long term, when the moon is first explored and subsequently exploited as a result of the renewed interest which is being shown by current spacefaring nations, ourselves included. Let's take the near-term impact first. For about half a century now, space activity has been driven by governments because that is where the funding came from. So as the frequency of launches has increased and technological challenge needed to be addressed, and there are quite a few of them. And in this background, and from this point onwards, we can expect that the ISS itself and future space exploration activities and all that it promises to deliver, whether we realize it in that manner or not, we're still not sure. These activities will have to be measured against the return on investment yardstick. So more the investment, more the activity in space, R&D, innovation, materials production for use back on Earth, more the profits, more the protectionism in terms of markets, the new markets that will be so created, more the conflicts arising out of these monopolistic activities, more trade barriers, space tourism, environmental pollution resulting from that type of tourism. In short, it will be business as usual, except that this sort of activity is a niche activity and will be practiced only by niche players who can A, afford it, and B, derive the benefit from it. So almost every nation has got very ambitious plans for space exploration. India is no exception. I believe that before long, all nations will come to realize that first, inhabiting and then exploiting our nearest neighbor, the moon, is beyond the resource capability of any one nation. Financial capability or even otherwise, it's beyond the ken of any one nation. This is happening. Before long, we are going to see collaborative efforts increasing, and we will see that competition will come down. That is my belief. More collaboration, less competition. And I think that there is evidence of this happening already. Foreign payloads have ridden on Chandrayaan as well as other ISRO launches. And we've had no hesitation in sharing the data that we have got as a result of that with other nations. And these are cases I'm stating in point form of illustrating what I'm trying to argue for. So, as stated by me earlier, no nation individually has the capability, financial or technologically, to go it alone to create a human settlement on Moon and later Mars. So cooperation rather than competition recommends itself for this and one more reason. And that is, if each space-faring nation aspires to develop an independent and exclusive capability to explore space and use what it gets out there by itself, it will only be expending the finite resources available on planet Earth at a much, much faster rate than otherwise if we had begun to cooperate and collaborate. Then it will be less. If we collaborate, then we can leverage the space technology strengths of different nations. It is the better way to go. What it will do is it will build up the very cost effectively, the capabilities, wherever they may be existing, and utilizing it in a collaborative framework to colonize the moon by the people from Earth. And it will become a venture by the people, for the people of our beautiful planet. And now, let me do some crystal ball gazing about the future trajectory of space exploration. The world may appear today to be safer than it used to be if we were to consider merely the frequency with which wars now take place. The reduced frequency is only because wars are bad for business. They're bad for businesses other than, well, the business of aerospace and defense. The rules of the game have changed, and today nations wage economic wars on each other. They use weapons like protectionism, technology denial, trade embargoes, etc., etc. So the underprivileged and the underdeveloped world responds to this new regime of denials, not by waging wars to own territories and resources which are in those territories, as used to happen in the past. But it begins does resort to terrorism, a never-ending, low-intensity war that saps rather than annihilates the potential of other countries. It is quite ironic that in the last few centuries, global tech development has been spectacular, But societal development and the way humans think in comparison, that development has been pedestrian. Right? We haven't moved, the needle hasn't moved at all in the last 2 centuries. See, space-related activity has a strange effect on unifying people. If you recall, this was during the moon landing days, the world was spellbound when Gagarin launched into space. But when Armstrong was launched, the world was really awed and stunned at why. Chanda Mama could launch the It prayed when Apollo 13 had a problem and it was in trouble. And even when the Soviets offered to help at that time, although the Cold War was raging, and they stood by to help in the rescue process. In case returning astronauts would splash down in seas close to them. So today, as we ready to return the moon and beyond, the world waits, I think, watching if there is going to be a change in our approach towards exploration, on whether we will continue to remain prisoners of our violent past and our wretched past. So this brings me to the central point I wish to make this evening. If we continue to do what we have been doing up until now, we shall be doomed to repeat our sordid past. Commencement of this new chapter in space exploration presents us with an opportunity to script a new future, a future that is fundamentally different to the past we have been surviving in till now. Humankind has already landed on the moon, but that was no big race. It was part of an ideological race, which was run by the Soviets and the Americans during the Cold War. In real terms, it only demonstrated the capability of each side to return with fists full of lunar soil. Nothing more. The Russians did it with robots, the Americans sent astronauts to do it. And that is why nobody returned to the moon after so many decades. There is now a renewed interest. This is the first time that humans shall be leaving Earth's orbit with the stated intention of exploring the moon, colonizing it, and exploiting its potential for use back on Earth. When we leave planet Earth, should we be going there as we have been doing thus far as Russians, Americans, Chinese, and shortly Indians, Europeans? Or should we go there as explorers from planet Earth? Should we continue to cling to our narrow nationalistic identities tomorrow as we travel to Mars and beyond? Or should we go out there and later perhaps millions of kilometers away as humans from planet Earth? So this is the question I put to the audience collectively. So if we concentrate only on achieving our narrow national objectives without addressing the core strife-causing issues of conflict on planet Earth, which today is changed geopolitically, and otherwise, it's become more interdependent and interconnected. So if we continue in this inequitable distribution of resources, finite resources, I think we shall only succeed in exporting seeds of conflict from Earth to outer space. What do we do once we colonize the moon? Given the historical background, fundamental reason for conflict on Earth has been, as I said, sharing of resources. It does not make sense to default into the same distribution model. If you go to the moon and later to Mars, as people from Earth, we must share the resources which have been found there with everybody back on Earth. If you do that, we will begin turning bloody pages of history back, page by page, bit by bit. It will, of course, be politically challenging to get this model to work. It will also be challenging for space-related business to run the way they are running now. I refer to the private sector. How will they answer their shareholders if they agree to part with profits which have accrued out of space-related business activity and pass it on for underdeveloped and developing nations? I believe that this step needs the attention of business leaders who will be supporting such future activities in space. Setting aside a percentage of profits, quite like it is done in the CSR budgets, would be one way to give back to society and invest in our collective future. There is a need to forge a global consensus on this. Fortunately, today we have an issue that begs the immediate attention of the entire world, and the successful resolution of which depends on nations if they agree to collaborate and work out a funding model that works and is acceptable to all. I refer to the NEO project. See, on a daily basis, about 100 tons of interplanetary material drifts down to the Earth's surface. Most of the particles that reach Earth's surface are tiny dust particles which are released by comets as their ices vaporize in our solar neighborhood. The vast majority of the interplanetary material originates as the collision fragments of asteroids and that have run into one another. So in the past, planet Earth has come in the way of asteroids, comets, and the debris from space. And we've seen devastating results, the extinction of dinosaurs, sudden onset of ice age, etc., etc. So today we have the technology to see and map the trajectories of such near-Earth objects or NEOs months before they reach or months before they intersect the Earth's orbital path. Now, this capability will only serve to prolong our agony if we refuse to do anything about it. We will know months before such an impact occurs, and we will wait helplessly for death and destruction to reach us. That is, if we choose to be passive and do not act and do nothing. And if we just wait for the object that is on a collision course with our planet Earth, and it will then slam to whichever side which is facing the asteroid, from in the direction that the asteroid is coming from. So today we have the technology to intercept and deflect off their course these objects so they miss planet Earth altogether and continue on their celestial wanderings quite uninterrupted. It's possible today. But getting it to work for all of humanity in this context, well, it's quite a novel. Since an NEO can impact any part of Earth, we are all vulnerable. Nations cannot individually look for national solutions in this case. To give an example, the Star Wars program was thought of and funded and came into being for the protection of only American people. It was designed like that. The approach for protecting ourselves from NEOs needs to be global, an assurance type of intervention, because nobody knows who's going to be hit. It's a bit like Russian roulette. And so we had no choice but to work towards a global consensus. We require to generate a convergence of views, an acceptance of necessity from other nations, an expression of commitment and political will from all nations if we are to survive this clear and present danger. So all nations will have to contribute financially and technologically. They will need to invest in order to secure for themselves and their families a safer future, at least against asteroids. But once we manage this model, once we create it and it begins to work, we will have a proven precedent of a global funding model that works for the benefit of all. If we can come together in this manner to make sure that we all do not die, surely we can come together to ensure that we all together continue to live in peace on this beautiful planet. So by applying this type of funding model, we can hope to arrive at solutions to chronic societal problems that has been shaping our history in the past. What should be India's role going forward now? So the reorientation of one's worldview, as is being suggested, is not going to happen overnight. Existing governments are not going to crash in a hurry the policies they are following because of pressure groups, which are made up of business houses that stand to gain individually from business opportunities that are bound to arise from future space exploration work. As for the old model, but change must begin to happen. We would be well advised to start with baby steps. From nations, it will require leadership of a very high order to forge such a consensus. And I believe that India can play that role. ISRO needs to stay the course and lead by example. As it is, India has the necessary experience to scale up its national space exploration approach to global promotion. And how does it get the experience? It's the only country that has followed a unique space program and stayed true to it, that of using space technology for socio-economic benefit of its people. So India also has a centuries-old philosophical tradition that has encouraged and practiced inclusive growth for everybody. To realize, and I'm referring to Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, which many of us have heard lately. It has been, I won't say it's being revived, it was always there, but it was kind of forgotten. So by doing so, India would also be helping the United Nations to realize its core principle, which has been laid out on the Treaty on Principles Governing the Activities of Nations in the Exploration and Use of Outer Space. Now, these principles were signed by almost all nations, and it came into force in October 1967. Now, what does the first core principle state? It states that the exploration and use of outer space shall be carried out for the benefit and in the interests of all countries and shall be the province of all mankind. Every nation has signed this declaration. It was made in 1967 and it is being realized by the United Nations Office of Space Exploration. So in comparison with other nations, we, of course, run a space program, which I just talked about. And the technology we have been chasing has been altering the people's lives for the beneficiary. So today, India's space sciences and space prowess is being recognized, readily recognized, I might say, by the rest of the world. And ISRO must nurture, I think, a globally competitive and a technically advanced Indian private sector space industry to consolidate its position among spacefaring nations. If we take these 2 points together, it will give India the moral and technological clout to fundamentally influence policy which governs the trajectory of future space exploration of spacefaring nations. India will then be in a position to influence the scaling up of global cooperation as demonstrated by the ADO pilot project. It's the funding element of the ADO pilot project. So she will influence and apply it to all future human activity in the realm of space exploration, be it on Moon, Mars, or in deep space. We all work to make this world a better and a safer place for our children. Personally, I am of the belief that science must be leveraged to provide life-altering solutions that can positively influence the existential reality of all those who live on the planet. And this can only be achieved if some checks and controls are put in place so that human activity in space can be regulated, resulting in sustainable exploitation, unlike what we have done and are doing to our home planet right now. The model involving the sharing of discovered resources back on Earth as a result of future exploration is a compelling thought. I admit, not easy to make it work, but it needs to be worked upon politically, made politically acceptable, made economically viable. And these details can be worked out by government reps and business leaders. Only then will we be able to work towards ensuring what Professor Yashpal had once expressed, the hope. What he had said was that I hope that our common origin should get for us a common destiny. So only if we are able to do this, will we be able to shake off the horrible hold that history seems to have on us. I am suggesting that India, that is ISRO, works towards inclusive and sustainable development on Earth by carefully farming resources in outer space by collaborating to create a joint expeditionary force and share the resources farmed in outer space with all nations on Earth. I'm suggesting that we move forward to build heaven on Earth instead of creating another part of hell on the moon and beyond. This then is our challenge and also our opportunity. And the opportunity is to become who we can be. Before I close, I wish to share just 2 small video files with you. The first one is donated by the great astrophysicist and superb communicator, Carl Sagan. And the other one, and Carl Sagan tells us very eloquently that it is important to preserve our planet for future generations. The second small video is written and narrated by me and conveys our natural cultural philosophy that provides a recipe for peace on earth. May we reduce the lights, please?
That's here. That's home. That's us. On it, everyone you love, everyone you know, everyone you ever heard of, every human being who ever was, lived out their lives. The aggregate of our joy and suffering, thousands of confident religions, ideologies, and economic doctrines, every hunter and forager, every hero and coward, every creator and destroyer of civilization, every king and peasant, every young couple in love, every mother and father, hopeful child, inventor and explorer, every teacher of morals, every corrupt politician, every superstar, every supreme leader, every saint and sinner in the history of our species lived there, on a mote of dust, suspended in a sunbeam. The Earth is a very small stage in a vast cosmic arena. Think of the rivers of blood spilled by all those generals and emperors, so that in glory and triumph they could become the momentary masters of a fraction of a dot. Think of the endless cruelties visited by the inhabitants of one corner of this pixel on the scarcely distinguishable inhabitants of some other corner. How frequent their misunderstandings, how eager they are to kill one another, how fervent their hatreds. Our posturings, our imagined self-importance, the delusion that we have some privileged position in the universe are challenged by this point of pale light. Our planet is a lonely speck in the great enveloping cosmic dark. In our obscurity, in all this vastness, there is no hint that help will come from elsewhere to save us from ourselves. The Earth is the only world known so far to harbor life. There is nowhere else, at least in the near future, to which our species could migrate. Visit? Yes. Settle? Not yet. Like it or not, for the moment, the Earth is where we make our stand. It has been said that astronomy is a humbling and character-building experience. There is perhaps no better demonstration of the folly of human conceits than this distant image. To me, it underscores our responsibility to deal more kindly with one another and to preserve and cherish the pale blue dot, the only home we've ever known.
We will settle on the moon. And maybe later Mars. When you then see the various textures, the diversity of our planet, the deserts and the coastlines and the hills and the forests, and you begin to realize what a beautiful planet we live on, and then your thoughts then start going towards why do we have to be mired in conflict, and you start thinking about sustainability, because when you look the other way, till as far as the eye can see, you know that there is no other habitable planet quite like planet Earth. problem with asteroids is that the Earth is rotating around its axis, and we have no idea that if an asteroid comes our way, which is the country that's going to get written off, and the collateral damage and the climate change that's going to occur as a result of that, that is going to affect almost every other country. Some scientists feel that it could be the beginning of another ice age. So for us to secure our future, we will need every country to cooperate. I think we should be open to cooperation between nations, provided it is fair and just. Borders are not visible from space. I think we need to make that work here before we start going and colonizing elsewhere. Otherwise, what we will be doing really is exporting conflict into space. I don't think confrontation is the way forward. Cooperation is. Because we've tried every other ism. We've tried capitalism, we've tried communism, we've tried socialism, we've tried all kinds of religious dogma. Nothing seems to be working. We should try some humanism now. We cannot live a profligate lifestyle, consumptive lifestyle on a planet that has limited resources. Have no doubt, irrespective of what the churn that our country is going through, we are a blessed nation. And the reason for that is, if you look back, give me some explanation as to why so many great minds, so many philosophers, so many saints have taken birth on this land. Why have they parted with their ancient, age-old wisdom so freely? Why have they done that? Why here? Only here. It is because our cultural ethos is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, which says the world is one family. And that is why you, I, and the rest of 1.3 billion of us need to be proud that we have taken birth on this land, which is why this land is Sare Jahan Se Acha.
Thank you for should I stay on here to take questions? Thank you very much for a wonderful narrative and perspective. Thanks a lot for your time and for a wonderful narrative perspective that you have all given to us regarding space exploration. It's time that we take some questions from our audience here in the hall as well as from our online students. To conduct the question and answer session, I would like to invite Professor Venu Chakravarti here on the stage, and he's already here, and he will be assisted by Professor Lokesh Sahu among the audience. Please.
Yes, thank you, Mudit. And you must have realized that what is thought-provoking and identity widening talking to us. And humanism is a buzzword which we all had forget. And this talk, it came from a person who has gone beyond this earth and looked at as part of humanity, looked at the earth. So with the correct person to propagate this idea, keeping that spirit alive, I would request you to keep your questions very brief and focus, so that we can, many of your colleagues also get a chance to interact, because our time is limited. So with this, our colleagues and our online questions will be taken by two of our colleagues, Manas and Rakesh is there. So I request Rakesh to take the questions and pass it on to us, and pass it on to sir, and please, we'll start the session.
Good evening, sir. My name is Lakshmi, and I'm here with you with our participant, training and practice. Sir, I want to know you at the first email you said putting up the stage on issues first attempt make humankind go to space through the internet. Well, I want to know that what are your thoughts on India's on issue of first attempt to make humankind go to space through the government mission that is going to be done?
I think because point A, the soul has already successfully realized the difference because demonstrated that space technology can be used for reduce socio-economic benefits. And it's like you can say, and if you are going to start the next space program, it's expensive, it's surely it is very possible. So they must be having a longer stay which is working in the laboratory. Let's see what the future it is. It will depend on the policy, which is so talked about. Just the other day, and I asked him whether we have a long 30-year policy, and he said yes, we do. So let's wait and see. Putting humans in space is to generate a core group of professionals who will then be available to run the space program and one of the follows after they themselves have done. And then slowly, depending on what the vision is, what the aims are of this and innovation, that's the good thing.
Hello, sir. My greetings to you. My name is Amrut, sir. I'm a participant of Unified 2023. We talked about Vasudev Kutumbakam, about how all countries should become united and work along the same path to develop space science and technology. So my question is that what can be some practices which we as students can follow at an individual level, contribute in this?
Good question. I think that's why I always look forward to interacting with the students, because you're the generation that is going to launch the next government in power. I don't mean 2024, but going forward, and those guys who are going to influence the government, and ISRO is already, like I said, already has a place on the high table, and who if you can the government is always responsive to what the workers would like happen. In no way you can try to engage purpose that makes politician follow the policy. And the fact that this policy comes to a so close to our cultural ethos, I probably do not face any opposition to this.
Good. So, I'm Manya and I'm a student at Sharma at Vyakhyaan. I wanted to know how do you feel when the children they go to sleep and how do you family feel? Were you excited? And then came back to the start of the issue. So how did it help your perspective? Sir, I wanted to know that when you were chosen to go to faith, how did you feel? Action over your excitement? And how did your family react? And after that, when you came back to the start of the nation. So how did your movement change?
Well, my what you heard, it was initially in the pause, and my only viewpoint was to defend my nation against adversities. When I came back, I think I became a global citizen, and my concerns became global in nature. And well, it is not that I'm a nation less. I'm proud of the fact that I belong to this nation because I got my perspective from the cultural force of this nation. And so therefore, as far as what the family was a bit more afraid, but that I don't really be so they were quite at home with the possibility of things not going as they're supposed to. They lived that kind of life, so they were going to practice for that. I can speak about my children. My children were just 8 years old, and I think for them it was just that their father was going to activists. I was really
Good evening, sir. I am Retd and scientist at ISRO. I would like to know two things about the manned space mission. Since you being a wing commander, what all controls will be given to the crew when they fly mission? You know, like if you see different vehicles, so you provide different control to the crew. At the other end, ISRO is planning to provide very minimal control to the crew. So, what could be the optimal configuration? And the second thing I would like to know about your views on space today. Yes,
views on space.
please.
Yeah. Well, the two programs up to now involving manned space flight. One was American and one was Soviet. So the Russians came from full automation to partial hybrid between human control and automation. The Americans came from the side of full piloting, all controls with the pilot, and the experiences of both nations felt that the hybrid model was the best. So then the controls which are being handed over to the astronauts, the cosmonauts, cosmonauts, those where finished action can retrieve the situation. So we're not reducing away costly labor and all the work that is done into it. Yes, there is an intervention possible. And otherwise, the only other way is that on the ground, you have limited access. If you're going to have parallel paths for each and every problem that is going to occur with this. So then, they're just launching a payload, a different payload. So it is a question. We flying in an aeroplane which is flown autonomously, no one hits the cockpit.
Good evening, sir. I'm here. My question, what do you think is the want to become safe?
Well, I just want to one misunderstanding. Everybody thinks that you want to learn how to fly and become a test pilot and then you'll be able to do it. Anybody who goes higher than 100 kilometers is an astronaut. And today we are in a position where we are going to explore the inhabitants to do. You can say how the light bubble, which sustains a bubble, which sustains life, you can't carry it from the earth and plant it on the moon. So all the things that are required, environmental engineering, you know, material scientists, all those things will be required. And they will be required on the site. And who's going to provide those things? You. So whatever you want, or if you want to do research, like the scientists, the system. You just have a different platform and a different platform to study each space. So whoever does whatever, so choose the line where your passion is and stick to it. And what it doesn't, there was no medical program here. She went all the way to the US. Qualified herself, was employed by the satellite company. And then she was chosen to launch and deploy the satellite for that private company on the NASA station. You don't have to do all that. So to support this resolution. Initially, for manpower.
Selected with the program 2023 from Canada. My question is that when you were in space, how do you feel? Didn't you scare?
I was too excited to be scared. And my philosophy is that if you are unable to control your CV by yourself, so I don't have the control of doing something, sit down with it. And if I'm on an airplane, and I'm in charge of that airplane, I'm not scared when I was scared in space. In space, you just sorry, but we take it for that.
Now we will take just the ingredient.
Thank you very much. Well, I wanted to ask you a problem. You are perhaps the only person that came back in here. That had given you this perspective that you thought of. But finally, when we go towards a solution, we need to influence policy, political policy. How? I can see how I can go towards that. What do you have any thoughts on that? Well, it's very easy to but we needed the help of all the best units. So this is just an idea. And it's totally different. But like this, if so many nations have come together to sign the declaration, there is a chance that they can be going forward. There can be convergence of views. And like I said, the Animal Project, which endangers all humanity, means all the nations. It aligns so easily, clearly and closely with the nations' core principle of that space belongs to all and we will share it. It aligns also with our cultural philosophy or the on family. So if we can influence space policy, and today who's fighting space policy? All space living nations. But in UN resolution, empower the UN. If not the UN, then somebody else. There's already talked that the UN has lost its relevance. So you have to, if you can get the global south geopolitically to get together, you will get space living nations. And let me tell you, it's not only my perspective, which is every guy who goes out cannot return with the same pursuit. It does change. Only astronauts, when they come back, they're absorbed either in the National Space Program, and the National Space Program is written by, or depends, inclusive or exclusive. I don't have to tell you that it is exclusive. So they're unlikely to do this. But Russia is likely to do it. It's people been working for various customers. So moving and it's the more powerful is then today it's so something before. And they've already generated enough to provide the platform to find the people's experience and share the results without talking. Say more. This is not a time. This is what happened tomorrow like this. But this is just something to look at this.
I'm here. I want to ask, when you were in station, did you score any UFO?
No. But if you ask me, do you believe? The answer would be yes.
Hello, sir. I am Manshi Gomfeld. I am also a PLN. I wanted to ask you a question like, how did you feel in this space when you were in that?
How do you feel when you're inside the space? You feel like a feather because you're weightless. That's how you feel. So let me qualify that. It's a very pleasurable feeling, but if you have to work, it's very irritating. Like this one saying, I have to hold it. This will fly. I have to hold the chair for me to keep sitting. But I don't sit idle in this space. So anything you spend in half an hour, it takes 2 times. And you cannot do parallel. You can do parallel processing while thinking, but while working, you have to do sequential. Put everything under a elastic strap. And then move to the next.
What was your vision? Vision.
What was the vision?
Vision in my life.
Vision.
Vision in my life.
Vision.
Yeah.
In your life.
Sorry, because of all the check noise, I'm a bit hard of hearing. Vision or vision?
Vision, yeah.
What's a vision? It's a yeah.
Well, my vision was to do whatever I do. That's my belief. That was my vision. And if you think that I have ever worked to be an astronaut, the answer is no. It's an opportunity that I taught me one thing, that when opportunities come your way, you must learn to grab it. It's no matter how difficult it is. Yes? And I found it very vision is like I told you because I returned as a global citizen, survivability, sustainability has very deep meanings to me because of the meaning of this approach. And I shared that with you.
Next. Good evening, Commander. I'm Dave. I'm a sub-editor. It's such a pleasure. So my question is very simple. You talked about how the new project and its global funding could lead this forward. So in a more distant future, could we see a more conglomerative effort of the private sector also coming in? Because the new projects, global funding kind of works like a UN peacekeeping fund. It's on that same model, countries coming together, and we've seen how that model is not quite working at a lot of places. So maybe private sector comes up in more of a conglomerative structure, not in the near future, but maybe in the far future. Would that lead to the sort of global citizenship and the global resource sharing that we talked about? Because they only have one gap stick of return on investment, and they only focus on that. So can that help in space exploration?
Well, United Nations peacekeeping fund, or whether when IMF or World Bank releases funds for A, B, or C projects, you know who's running these organizations, right? Whether it's UN, IMF. So, really speaking, it's the superpower which runs all India. Which is why people are talking about restructuring the United Nations. We're talking about which is under the control of the only superpower that's there. So that's what we're talking. As far as the every sector is concerned, I'd like to just share a story that I was invited for the UN General Assembly, the Environment Assembly, and there I was shocked to see district leaders also. And that's because all every speech, including my own, they played putting embargoes on business for them to price their products after factoring the collateral environmental damage caused during the production of that product. So it would militate, against profits of business. And his answer was that we have got to realize that we have to organize, otherwise our markets and the consumer has become so demanding, it will demand green methods of manufacturing from us. So we are interested to know, we're coming down to spy as to how effective the speakers have been and how the UN Environment Assembly is likely to bring in new, shall we say, legislation. So hopefully, tomorrow's business leaders will see. So there should be business leaders nowadays who are talking about respect for the workers and things. Change, see, everything changes. If we are just trying to speed up the rate of change.
Yeah, next.
Good evening, sir. Mandeep Singh, I'm from down here. Sir, we had a discussion on using people's funds for space program, but using those funds for people's development is actually a better idea. So what are your suggestions to take these two hand in hand?
See, the thing is, the funds are managed by people. People are managed by politics. So there is possibility that it can be done. But if your question is that should all the allocations which are being made into space should be diverted towards development, I don't agree, because like I said, technology is so fast that we can be left behind annual development, both of the people as well as the technology. Now, if you want first the entire GDP of our country to be diverted so that we remove poverty, and then let's think about science, we'll be failure. We have to go around family paths. And well, that is where physical things comes in. That is where brain people come.
Namaskar, sir. So, very interesting talk. And as your vision and your perspective changed, today you helped to us to change our perspective to your discussion and talk. So, thanks for that. And my question is that what kind of experiments you did when you were in orbit and what kind of preparation you did?
The experiments were basically on Earth sciences. We used a non-destructive power which was available on the Sun 7 to photograph the Indian landmass using that camera. So we had a baseline data of how landmass was, and that baseline data became a data of a comparison when our analysis went in. So that was one. Then by also some material science, we tried to grow crystal in space. There are advantages of making a crystal in space because of the lack of gravity. The structure is more perfect because there's no gravity. Then the seed forms and the starvation begins. But the whole merit is floating. It's not achievable. So that is the second. Biomedicine, we did product experiments to find out how it's to do with the vision of the penis because the blood flow pattern changes. So things like that. These were experiments.
I see many hands raised. But there are online questions also, so very quick.
Sir, David, Pakwana working as a scientist in Ahmedabad. Was already asking the question regarding the, sir, what is your view on space tourism? Huh? It's inevitable. So, if we can, whatever activity we do, if we do it with sustainability in mind, it's worth doing. So, for that, we need foresight, we need good regulation, we need higher technologies, and all of it must be enforced and it must work. So, it will happen. Tourism has to happen. Wherever there is private sector, there will be only generation. Good evening, sir. Power scientist and sir. मैं हिंदी में पूछना चाहूँगा सर ये एयरफोर्स के लोगों जो सिलेक्शन है वो कब खत्म होगी क्योंकि आप भी एयरफोर्स से थे अभी जो लोग की सिलेक्शन फाइट होने वाली है वो भी एयरफोर्स से है तो आप अपनी कब सोचेगा कि मैं भी एयरफोर्स मैं भी सब बता सकते हैं ये बात ऐसी है कि मैं मैं इसकी बात कर रहा हूँ क्योंकि जो गगनयान प्रोग्राम है वो अभी तक ना तो ना मेथड्स ऑफ सेफ्टी हैव बीन सो जब भी नया डिजाइन निकलता है किसी चीज में एयरफोर्स के टेस्ट पायलट्स को कहा जाता है उनको ट्रेन किया जाता है टेस्ट ड्यूरिंग डिजाइन तो ये उनका काम है वो स्पेशलिस्ट होते हैं इन चीजों में सो पहले तो सर्टिफाई करना पड़ेगा कि ये जो तरकीब है ये ऑर्बिट पे पहुंचने की तो बाकी समेत बना आपके सारे सिस्टम सही काम कर रहे हैं रिटन सेफ्टी काम कर रहे हैं आपके कम्युनिकेशन प्रोटोकॉल्स मिशन कंट्रोल के साथ वो सब सही चल रहा है कि नहीं तो ये सब जब प्रूफ हो जाता है पहले सिविल एविएशन प्राइवेट प्लेन से तो मिशन इंजीनियर का स्टार्ट होती है तो जिसने अपना ट्रेनिंग बना लिया तो इंडिया को इंडिया Again, which is very
Yes.
It is good evening. I'm Ivan Bhupe from SC and participant for Viveka 22. Sir, I wanted to ask you about what is your view on the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and do you think we can reach the net zero by 2040 and what these students can do in it?
Net zero emission, United Nations agreed. Net zero, I think you said net zero emission. So by 2030, that goal has been set up by United Nations. Net zero emission,
net zero emission.
that they can provide. 2030 is the deadline that's coming. So what is your view on that?
Well, I think we should have gone there. But now that we are there, we clean up our act. And the problem really is that when I ask the question, will you accept that aeroplane? We got a pilot, the answer was no. So my next question is those of us who are used to air conditioners now, will we continue to use them? Like I said, if slowly 1 billion more people start saying, every kind of appliance, we have to support that kind of consumption. So net zero, if you want to make it, then that's the way to do it. I think if you can't be that's what I do.
Sir, myself, British Novel. I am working as a technical engineer. So, who will be next? Sharma probably.
I really don't know. I really don't know. There are guys on the training, one of them, as to who will be chosen. I don't really know right now. That they have not yet been divided into groups.
So, I'm staging and I'm query. What experiment did you take after stepping out of the space shuttle and stepping on the moon?
What was it? No, he was on the station to land.
I didn't have a moon. Let us say to you. Sir, it was very productive lecture from the Indians about Indian government. Since I saw Indira Gandhi was asking you like your spontaneous answer was actually सारे जहाँ पे होते हैं. So it was not सारा जहाँ अच्छा है. So how long it took for you to have such a wonderful perspective of Vasudeva Kutumbakam? It took so long. So this what bridge you have worked out, so it will be taking how long? Like 50 years, centuries or how? How you see that perspective coming into your picture? पहले क्या पूछा कि वाकई में इंडिया में how long take up to move on beyond our literalism, beyond my boundary being this all he's asking. How long it takes? I really don't think that I started thinking like this because of the space time. Yes, because of validation of my thought. Because if you don't repent, if you believe in exclusivity, if you believe that it's the identity you want to give to yourself, if that is security for you is in that, well then it will be difficult for you to change. But I don't think it's difficult. It all depends on how, that is what we call value system. We talked about the cultural value system of our country. And how does that happen? It starts with the family. So if you can transfer your value system and your thought process to your children, and they will have their own children, it's a very slow way to propagate a thought in a culture. We used to have that culture. We don't anymore. So we have to rediscover who we were.
Just one second. We'll take a YouTube question and then we'll come back. So there is a question, question from YouTube. From YouTube. And sir, what would be your opinion about exploration of techniques on moon and agriculture on moon?
It will have to be done. We don't know anything about the soil quality there right now. We don't know. And for manufacturing, yes. Manufacturing, yes.
Yeah, the agriculture and exploration of metals.
Exploration of metals, yeah. So, see the same sensor we are using to explore that should work over there as well. But only going to use the tools which are required to extract those metals, that is going to be the challenge. And then what do we do? We cannot, it's not really viable to transport. It's not like Dhanbad se Koyla, that's a name. So you have to be on the side. See? So still the technology.
So
That's all right.
So there's one more question. I'll come back after this. Sorry, and Dr. Hariom is asking any development in the past, present, and future, it always tempers with nature. So is that an alternative approach of development where you don't temper with nature?
Yeah, so in fact, that was the point which I referred to. We have to put focus in place where what we've done with that earth, we don't do it. So obviously, has already been demonstrated. So we don't know how it has turned out into a desolate landscape. You see? So maybe some intelligence was there, which had the same weaknesses as we have. So we need to learn. But our problem is to repopulate that place and make it like it's not easy. That is why we are saying, let's preserve what we have. It's simple. Making it
Good job.
Good evening, sir. I am very glad that I am standing in front of many young students. I am Mr. Jyoti from Rajasthan. I am here as a student of Yuvika program inside Hyderabad. My question is that what was most challenging task and most enjoyable moment in space?
What is the most challenging task? And what is the most enjoyable moment in space for you? That's what you're asking.
most challenging task is to do anything. Because everything is fine. What is the most enjoyable is to see nature in action, to see a sunrise, you know, it's not so first, it's all dark, then the rim of the earth gets backlit because the sun is about to rise. You see the curvature, and while you're watching it, it turns, goes through the video spectrum, and you know, it goes white, it goes blue, like that it goes, and then within a few seconds, a small little beam you can see, which comes up and looks like a diamond, and the very next second, the sun is there. So the sunrise is very joyful to see. It's a very blessed thing. And if you miss it, you can come out after 90 minutes, you can see it again.
Access to the user. Just to answer, I'm a scientist at the Space Applications Center. So, my question to you is, answer. Actually, we have got one new page of Vyakhyaan.
You?
I just want to know I see that how preparation there on what I did to get this officer. Like they were also connecting some even getting also camera excellence in that particular station. So what's your experience as a defense officer and how the preparation and everything?
Well, preparation was mostly to do with medical part. You know, the preparing the human body to conditioning it to face the changes that occur due to the lack of blood. And from a training aspect, professional aspect, because to learn about the data you will be traveling in and interventions that would be required by you in case things go off normally. And we take, for example, talking which is the part of every launch. We have done that. So if the automatic launching sequence fails to scrub eventually, or that reason the automatics have failed, no, that is where the human comes in and manually gets the blocks. So these are the things which in our case, we work.
Hello, sir. First of all, thank you so much for the nice talk. I am even this story is going to be. मेरा पूछे कि आप कोई भी एस्ट्रोनॉट सेलेक्ट होता है तो उसके अंदर क्या फिजिकल या मेंटल या क्या प्रॉपर्टीज देखनी है नॉट सेलेक्ट होता है एस्ट्रोनॉट नॉट सेलेक्ट नॉलेज होनी चाहिए उसके अलावा और क्या देखते हैं
I think you have to be lucky. Really, they have to जब तक तो वो proof नहीं होता design, so then naturally you have to have the skills to do the proper testing and kind of look at all the what ifs and pose those questions to the designers. So if at the end together, then you evolve a fail-safe design in theory. But you do need somebody to test it and see if it works in practice. So that part is focus. So that was very important.
Here expo changes happen for a movement from somewhere general knowledge एक subject बना उसको एक पर्सन सॉरी क्या है उसको खाली इंटरप्रेट होगी कि रूल पर्सन सब्जेक्ट को प्राइवेट स्पेस और उसका जल्दी से एप्लीकेशन उसका एक प्रोग्राम हम जल्दी से
उसमें 1% का serious आंसर पता होगा. Who is the first astronaut from India? So what I've said that आपके नाम आया. वो number immediate तुरंत मिल जाता था. That's it.
Yes, sir. Just a comment.
वो number.
Just a comment.
Smart.
अगर आपने विज्ञान में दिया होगा कौन बनेगा करोड़पति दिया होगा तो मार्क्स के साथ पैसा भी
तो आप 7 घंटा 40 मिनट 2 बच्चे में बैठ के हम रेस खेलते तो क्या होगा उसके बाद आपको उनका इंटरेक्शन रहना पड़ता है
बहुत दिलचस्प अनफॉर्चुनेटली 8 साल 10 साल हो गए दोनों दूसरे कभी बाद में भी सर्विस
I am 50 and here. I want crystal forming phase. But a crystal forms with high pressure and temperature continue, but deep in the middle. So how will the information crystal formation? And also I want to know the journalist want to space.
as well going to yes. That makes sense. I'm going to be very space. But still, well, we want to experiment. Say, I'm saying, I'm really good. So, what is that? We do that experiment. Now, that's only not to see that the very it's just that I say you do it. It needs purity of a higher. It needs a temperature at which two metals are able to work together, liquefy, so that particular very thin, otherwise, due to the presence of the lower part of the structure gets compressed. So it's not deep. So here we are trying to go to similar perfect structure so that it could be used for sensors, something which is optically, you can see it, but it's very strong. So that is what the silver engineering is describing. I wasn't aware that if you don't go without high pressure. We just had this furnace which we programmed it and then turned it outwards because we use this super cooling technique. That means with the temperature below its solidus temperature. And that is when it is and that is available instantly you can do it in space. Inside the spacecraft, you say -60. 60 hours.
Good evening, sir. I am Vikhyaan. I want to ask, sir, as microgravity is spread in the space, so how does our body feels when over there, especially due to cardiovascular system? Does our heart feels normal or do we see any changes?
So in microgravity, your heart feels.
Heart feels.
Heart. How it feels? Is it feeling stressed or what kind of feeling do you have?
The heart is a muscle. In zero gravity, muscles don't get exercise. So although it is doing that, so it loses over a period of time, it loses muscular tone. So his performance would be reduced. That's why you need to exercise. You see the astronauts on the bed running and cycling. That is to give a cardiovascular massage. So that it does not lose muscular tone. And that's one of the exercises you have to do. Like you got to, otherwise, even your bones leach into zero gravity. So you got to do these exercises to make sure bones do not become weak, muscles do not become weak. And that's
So, how many questions do you have? A lot of hands raised.
Can you help me continue?
I was wonderful to hear you regarding the current states, activities and policy and what should be the great future. But coming back to your going to space, and you mentioned about Earth observation activities that you did. And I was very happy to receive those 140 images which you clicked with while you were flying over India. And I was fortunate to use them for looking at the clouds over India. And it's a very wonderful experiment I did because 140 has an overlap between images.
Right.
So I could use stereo as well as the solar electron next time to derive cloud height for India. That was very wonderful. This is my connection with the lovely. Wonderful to be very good.
Last few questions, how many?
So, I'm Isha. I'm a medical factoring here. I'm one agree for a mission.
Listen, I ask you a proper question. You don't have to go into space, you can say yes or no.
Good evening, sir. I'm Amrut, from Maharashtra, and I wanted to ask, after 8 days, when you returned back to Earth, how you felt? What problems you faced at everyday task on Earth, and what you took to recover during that?
We took only 8 minutes to reach the other orbit, but we took about more than an hour to return back. And the reason for that is that the day back, we don't have an engine, and you glide in, you establish the glide path. The glide path, if it is too flat, then you can take the bounce off. If it's too steep, then the aerodynamic heating is so high that you burn out. So if you want to start your retro burn with some finite amount of fuel, and after that you're just sourcing and waiting for your orbital height to drop. And till you start encountering the initial layers of the atmosphere, and that is what creates the drag which takes to slow you down. So your speed which you're working on is only due to aerodynamic drag, and the skin friction is causing all the heat and the flames.
Yeah. Yes.
And after turning to head for the heart which was taking it easy up till now, because it was in zero gravity and didn't have to pump against gravity, suddenly continues behaving like that. So then less blood going to the head. So when less blood goes to the head, you feel very difficult to balance yourself. So you get a bit giddy. So although American astronauts, because of the TV culture, they are the guys who walk around the shuttle, but each astronaut is holding the baby, if you notice. Whereas the Russians say that they don't why stress the body. They pull you out and breathe you out. You're capable of walking, but you're difficult.
So how much time does it take to adjust? How much time does it take to come back to the 1.5 hours?
That you do not without us. Just vegetarian, but it has to be an energy.
We are growth from metro station. So during station party, the group captains were discussing about astronauts. So they give a statement which I want to know your thoughts about on that statement. कि astronauts जब briefing आपके वापस आते हैं तो ना वो उभर के रहते हैं ना इधर के रहते हैं. So what's your thoughts on that statement?
Because any astronaut who goes back gets absorbed in that continuous space program. और हमारे 24 साल के बाद human space program चालू हुआ. That was only my personal experience. But this business of यहाँ पे रहते हैं उधर रहते हैं is all wrong. Because when you come back, you will firstly go up, see space tourism अभी शुरू नहीं हुआ. You can't go up, you can take care of क्या है. So if you come and you get absorbed, you will only go up if you want to change your life. If you want to become an astronaut and continue training as an astronaut and be productive as an astronaut, only then will you go.
Sir, Sharma, I'm Delhi, attending Viveka set program. You are highly people rider.
Who's my idol? I'll tell you, the guys, I'll take a few names. Armstrong, Bruce Lakandis, if you Google it, John Young. These guys, who was yeah. So Balagan was the first guy who went into space. Leonard was the first guy who walked in space outside the world. Bruce McCandless was the first guy who walked in space without the terror. He was a human satellite himself. He didn't tie himself to the moon. Okay? Armstrong, of course, neither on the moon. And then John was a chap, a pilot, an astronaut, who landed the space shuttle for the first time. Coming back from space. So we have to open for everybody else to follow. And John Young, he was one of those astronauts in test pilots who never showed any emotion. But when he landed the space shuttle, he just walked around the space shuttle landing, and he kept counting his fists. So before the lesson, so unlike you, you've never shown emotion. I just was walking around, just thinking to myself that there are, 80,000 components in this machine, and all of them work, and all of them work from the lowest bidder. Every project. One young, John Young, the ultimate explorer. You must see.
Hi sir, my name is Sudra. I am an MBA student. So I really been enjoying the life at every moment. So sir, मैं जब भी राकेश शर्मा की बात होती है, everyone remembers about the conversation you had with Miss Indira Gandhi. So sir, we want to visit this moment. So sir, I just want to ask you, वहाँ से भारत कैसा दिखा? You have to answer in your audience. आपके पास.
You won't believe me. I mean, I didn't manufacture it. Vyakhyaan is a message.
Good evening, sir.
why so around the certain benefit program. I wanted to ask that if the specific character long term, that now would it have bad effects on one's body or would it have a lot of benefits? So I think straight about the heart and the bones is. I think the other effect would probably be nature. Because, we are a species, we try to go on vacations and things. So, if you go into space for long duration missions, in a confined space with other people, so it becomes an issue. The lack of habitat, the lack of relaxing, becomes an issue. We're becoming all of that. So there's going to be a lot of stress on the kind of things which are not organization. Memory loss. Memory loss.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, everyone. My name is Sharma. I am the Computer 2023 program. And question for you. So the new exam plan for both people. Will there be an engaged for?
Will there be?
Or just an option for engagement?
In there, we consider
Which will sustain human life? Depending on what stage that planet is. Is it already dark? So like Mars is? Or is it nice and green and untouched by different system? Well, I would prefer the latter. Hopefully, conservative. So, if you find that kind of argument, don't find it. We come to realize soon that the limited time of settling on the new balance which we can.
I think maybe two more questions, not more than that.
Yeah.
Because it's already very long time.
Good evening, sir. My name is Rakesh. I am from Uvita. Now this time we can go in space, but that time it was very difficult to go in space. How you were selected from the whole India?
The Russians said that we want test pilots. We'll be able to train them in a short time period. And I was a test pilot. I was young, and therefore I was good. So I managed to pass all the medical tests. And since I was a test pilot, I got selected. So that's what I'm happy.
Good evening, sir. I'm from Haryana. ISRO Yuvika 2023. I want to ask you that you were there for appropriate 8 hours and you observed the whole space. So according to you, what is really the outer space? How you will define it in your own words? You have seen it, you have observed it for your 8 hours. 8 days.
Yeah, so if you want me to describe that experience, I'd say space is a great place to visit. It's a lousy place to work. Working in space is hard. But the vantage point it gives you, the beauty you see, it opens up your eyes to the scale on which things are. And it gives you a different perspective on which I have shared. So that is those are the difference and the experience.
Yeah, maybe the last question. Sorry, we are not going to take all the questions because I know you have one of the questions, but maybe the last question will take place. Something.
Thank you very much.
I spoke very quickly about the view of the sunrise. Can you say something about the meditation?
about the material. We will see. Well, I think it shows that even a desolated skyscape can be captivated because what it involves you is how large our universe is. And that's not really going to be around. But there are multiverses. When you go to one universe, our universe itself, we barely met with all. So there's so much we don't know. So there is a sense of wonder that if you look back, it's super the top, yes, you're so insignificant, really. And so, I mean, it's a great experience, but you don't have to go into space together.
So I think we are supposed to conclude this session here. I understand we see still a lot of great friends, and personally, I am we are very sorry not to be able to entertain all the questions because we had already given a follow-up and we are sort of asking interacting with you for the last 1 hour. So we'll understand it's quite an statement. And first of all, this has been remarkable question answer session, and all the questions that the participants of the program has started and the way you participated is excellent. And this session has been supported and coordinated by my colleagues, Susan Shah and Dr. Bharat Samlo and Dr. Swami. And from all of us, I want to thank you for entertaining all these questions. And it's really great to be for all of you. Thank you. And so the last part of this is, before I hand over to is that I'm talking about appreciation, love, respect, and the honor that we host you here. I would invite our director to hand over. And I would request students.
So thank you so much for a wonderful talk. Friends, I believe that more than 1 hour of interaction has happened already with him. And you must be wondering, a director साहब ने एक भी question नहीं, right? Yes or no? But आपको बता दूं कि डायरेक्टर साहब ने इनको 1 घंटे से ऊपर ड्रिल किया है. You know, we had a lovely interview with him. It lasted for 1.5 hours. Okay, and that's why all the questions that you people are asking, we had already asked. So with this, let us thank again.
So the last part of our event is I invite Dr. Udit Srivastava to be the board of next and bridge.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Chakravarti. I would request all of you please kindly remain seated for the vote of thanks. Thanks a lot, Professor Chakravarti, Professor Sahu, for conducting a wonderful session. And before I formally conclude the session by giving a vote of thanks, so before I formally conclude the session by with a vote of thanks and invite all of you outside for a tea, let me take this moment to applaud all of you for a wonderful interactive session, especially our young friends over there with the wonderful claps. I mean, it reminded. It reminded me of my NCC days. Wonderful. Right? So, can you remain seated for a group photograph as well? And let me present my vote of thanks first and foremost to our esteemed guest, Wing Commander Rakesh Sharma. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for to be with us here. Our director, Professor Bhardwaj, our dean, Professor Pallam Raju, our registrar, Professor Deshpande, the organizing committee of PRL Cabinet, Vyakhyaan, and all the support staff and colleagues, and all of you, the wonderful audience who made it happen here. So thanks a lot. It's really nice to have this wonderful Vyakhyaan here. Now I request all of you to please remain seated. We shall be having a group conversation here. And after that, you can join us outside in the foyer and the pond area for a TNC. Thank you. Yeah. And remain seated and notice.
Thank you. Hi,